Count on me, nothing can help me. Depressed and more and more and more and more. We need love, although unstable, because we got life and it goes on. Wake up, we must recognize real life. Heaven is a piece of shit. Wake up, we must recognize real life. 'Cause it could be a good day.
Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun, so what are we doing today? Well, we're going to do something a little bit different than usual. I meant to stream today. Well, Saturday. It's 12:30 right now in the morning. And I meant to stream. It was going to be a cool stream, but I genuinely couldn't think of what to do. There were a lot of ideas and just nothing really panned out. Either it wasn't really justified or things were just, it would be a 5-minute stream of me looking at something and saying, well, shit's fucked, and leaving. So, this is a big Thunk stream. What are we going to be doing here today? Well, we're going to be thinking. Otherwise known as, I'm going to be throwing my, head against a wall and praying something good happens. So, yeah. So this is the big list. This is the things Notepad Anon wants to do, as you can see right here. Wait a little. Oh wait, Jerry. No one needs you. But generally speaking, the personal project, these are pretty much everything that I want to do at one point or another. Some have been on this list for almost as long as the list has actually been here, which has been from, let's check, everybody. How long have you been here? Let's see, this list was first created back in August 15th, 2019, and some of these games have been on there since then. Others of them have changed over time. Little fucking fly just flew directly into my eye. Because Jerry is a suicidal fly. Others of these have just developed over time, little ideas, little here, little there. So generally what I want to do is I want to get some of those ideas at least written down on here. Well, this is my Miro document with everything that has somewhat developed, some haven't, and some are just notes just to make sure. Just kind of writing things down. This is somewhat reminiscent of what occurs after the games are selected, which you should totally vote if you haven't. I've already received a handful of the votes, and let's do a quick check right now. Let's see how the voting is going so far. And voting is exactly the way I think it's going right now. We got two front runners so far. All right, let's check the Patreon. Are we getting some interesting news? Interesting looks over there. Let's see. We do scheduled, not scheduled. We need to do published. So let's see. Do we have any major ones that have like crossed the threshold? You could say. Oop, that's one already. Nothing for the large lads. We've got a few things for the connoisseurs, of course. All of which have kind of moved around quite a bit, and we've got one for the lads. Generally speaking, we have a pretty decent assortment currently, which is good. We like assortments. But right now, this is just me throwing shit at the wall more than anything. Maybe something will stick. Maybe some vague ideas that I would like to get across. Who knows? I'm here. You're here. And maybe we can talk. Or maybe not. Who knows? I don't own you. We live in a society. But generally speaking, this is broken down into a handful of different things. The personal projects are literally just ideas that are solidified. I know exactly how I'm going to do them, and I know how to do them. They just never get voted on for various reasons. Action Squad Combat Evolved. This one is a very detailed game, very autistic, very gun focused. I haven't put it on the list for a while because I usually end up doing military shooters. Here's the funny thing, and people have actually asked me this before. Why do I do so many games of warfare, of soldiers, and things like that? The main reason is because nobody else fucking does them. You say, well, there's all these other games that do them. Usually the case is either like a generic system or it's shoot man do shoot man things. I usually try to like give it a focus or something odd with it. It just so happens that's just really easy to adapt into a game. As it turns out, people in dangerous situations usually are in interesting situations. Yeah, that's kind of one of the issues. It's, if you really look at it, one of the very few cited games of like true, firearmism is usually things such as Ops and Tactics, which Ops and Tactics is done now. I need to get the final version of it, and Ops and Tactics is done. I will be doing effectively my soliloquy on the game, and it'll be a interesting video. I have opinions on Ops and Tactics. I have opinions on Melon. But yeah, no, Ops and Tactics is done. The final version is out. He has quit. He is done. I find that fascinating personally, that you can just stop a game that you've worked so long on. But yeah, Aces just never really goes anywhere. I put it on the list a few times. People, it gets usually like 3-4 votes, but usually something else just completely takes over, or it's like a few games that just dominate. So it's kind of hard to get like a good run on it. Striker Z is kind of the same way. Striker Z, I've been doing so many mech games. That one isn't going on the list for a while, simply because mech games, there are very few mech games, and the mech games that are present are usually dominated by, why don't you just use, you know, Mech Z or something? Why don't you use one of the older systems? And there's a lot of good reasons for why you should and why you shouldn't. So this one was actually built using Duntac, Dungeon Tactics, which should be actually hitting Kickstarter here within the next year. But I said that 2 years ago when I actually wrote the fucking thing, but hey, what do I know? But yeah, that one just never really goes anywhere. Same thing for Requiem for the Sidekick. Requiem for the Sidekick has been in literally my like personal folder of stuff to do for years at this point. Just never really goes anywhere. People don't vote on it. Pretty simple. It's a weird idea. Yige Minzu is done. Like, here's the thing. Like, the board, like, the game is done. I need the board because it's a board game. And if you don't have the board, it's kind of hard for the board game to work. And I've been thinking about running it on Tabletop Sim just for people, just for my friends. So that's one's like, it's kind of hard to go over that one. Abandon All Hope has been on here literally since the beginning. And I've had just every time I'm like, maybe I should do Abandon All Hope. It's like, no, we're not doing Abandon All Hope because Abandon All Hope sucks. The bootleg projects, these were here, and I just stopped doing them because Flesh Mech Annihilator was such a nightmare to actually do. There was just so much. There's a lot of fucking Flesh Mech Annihilator, and I got it up to at least a decent place, and I don't want to do any more. And I haven't really had the let's just say I haven't really had the desire to work on any of the other ones in any meaningful degree. Utopia Wars has been put on there a few times, but Utopia Wars has been slowly, you can actually see over here, it's kind of adapted over time into Metal Saviors. Actually, that's one of the perpetual jokes of it, is it turned into the original concept of Utopia Wars actually folded into what would become Metal Saviors, which is a game I'm actually quite happy with, and it's done technically. Yeah, this game is done and written and works. I just need to actually play it, and after my friend's campaign is done, I'm going to have to set everything up. But that's why we aren't working on Metal Saviors anymore, because it's just done. That's kind of the issue with Utopia Wars as well. It's another mech game. Hello, Forgotten Source. How are you? A little bit late tonight. We're hanging out, going over some of my ideas. Let's see. Oh yeah, the License Madness. The License Madness was a fun thing that I was kind of did as a meme, and I just have no desire to actually work on it because I have no desire to actually do a fucking PBTA game, or a Lasers and Feelings game, or a Forged in the Dark game. I have no desire to do any of these, but I said I would, so they're on here. I'm actually like 95% sure this one already exists. Give me a trap to put in a wizard's mansion. What's he a wizard like? Be like a necromancer, pyromancer, or what? Traps inform the person. Or the classic trap for a wizard house is just doing something completely non-magical just to fuck with people. Extreme paranoia. See, if he's extremely paranoid, here's the joke. Paranoid people are people who Mindmancer. Oh, here's the thing with extreme paranoia. People who are really incredibly paranoid are doing things to protect themselves, not necessarily, how do I want to word this? Not necessarily protect anything else, it is to protect themselves. If you want to do something really fucky wucky, just have them keep looping back on themselves. And it's like you have to effectively solve a, not really a trap per se, but it is a mental, just leave. I am literally giving you every opportunity to just not be here. Just have a weird maze. Let's see, weird mazes are fun. What was one I did for a psychic? What was one that I did? He was a weird character. He did, what was it? I can see it in the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. He's the one who kept doing floating blocks. Yes, he had literally a moving block puzzle that he could do incredibly easily because he was a fucking mind mate, because he was a fucking psychic. And he just knew the answer already. Nobody else knew how to do the puzzle. That was funny. That was a good time. Players hated it. I loved it. Yeah, let's see. So we have the Redux list. These are just games that eventually I've discovered that I actually need to Redux quite a few games. Let's see, we have Endless Adventures, things like Endless Adventures Beyond the Horizon. Endless Adventures is actually a year old at this point. Similar to things like Fear and Hunger. Grand Belm is, mind you, Grand Belm's, this is technically going to be Grand Belm 3rd edition, technically, if we want to be really specific. But this is Grand Belm, because Grand Belm got written a long time ago, the original version. Iron Hunter actually got put on my itch.io, so you can actually download a shitty version of, if you really want, you can download a shitty version of the Iron Hunter if you really want to, right here, the Ashcan edition. Because it's bad. Who's pinging me? Why are you here? Oh, hello Pixelman, how are you? Let's see, we have, yeah, Anthrodesis Dissonance, which Anthrodesis Dissonance got done dirty when I first did it, and I think going back to it in like an actual honest-to-God light will do pretty good. Fear and Hunger Solus Insumino, this one may get delayed a bit further depending on how Happy Paintings decides to release Termina. I might do that kind of together, which I think would be kind of fun. Notamons, I don't think people quite understand how much of a pain in the fucking ass it is to do, even approach Notamons. Because Notamons is big. It is a big game. It's not fun. It's just me having to go in there and add a bunch of shit. And it's like, oh god, oh lord, oh lord. Same thing like Project Grug. Like some of these are like 3 years old at this point. The SRDs, this is just need the SRD. The JRSD, it's coming soon, I swear. Waifu Core actually, fun fact. Waifu Core actually is here. You can play it. Like it's been SRD'd sort of, but the problem is it's still very tied to Deep Blue Girls, which I need a second version of it. I need effectively another Deep Blue Girls for it to confirm that the Waifu Core is actually a functional system. Can it be turned into an SRD, or should I just call it the Boat Girl game, which is kind of its own back and forth issue on the matter, which I'm personally kind of on the fence about. Originally this was actually going to be possibly a Waifu Core stream because people have been talking about it again. For some reason, if you want something very strange, I can comment on this because I wrote the fucking game. We have, where is it? Ah, right here. This is Kantai. This is one very dedicated guy on TG who really wants to make a Kantai collection tabletop game. Which, hilariously enough, this is the part that that was really funny to me. Which is, you know, I've been wanting one of these threads to pop up. In previous threads, there's been talk about Victory at Sea. Victory at Sea, for those who don't know, is a war game, actually. Kind of see it right here by Warlord Games. Fairly detailed. Like, do you like boats? Like, it's a boat game, and I looked at some of it. Apparently, it's pretty popular. However, looking at DBG, a good chunk of the mechanics seem to be centered around combat, with the only traits being really relevant to the girls' side of things. Also, logistical elements, though using them for VS depends on how we decide to handle things for the Frankenstein of a homebrew. They decided to strip out the combat section of Deep Blue Girls and try to adapt it to a war game for this, and has some stuff that aims to mimic some aspect of gacha games. Let's see, this is the thing that I thought. Lifting the trait system from Deep Blue Girls feels serviceable. I thought this was fucking hilarious, because it's like, bitch, I wrote it. And they just take it one for one, by the way. Like, this isn't even like a big thing. They literally just do it one for one. And it's like, guys, I don't think you quite I'm gonna give you all a fucking secret here. And people have accused me of this as well. When you see these games where it's like, wow, a majority of the game is literally just combat. Because I can't put fucking mechanics on you role playing. I can't. The reason why a combat section is usually the largest part of any of these games is because that's something you can put mechanics behind. You cannot put mechanics behind you talking to your friends. That's something you can't do. People who do try to do that, usually their games aren't very good, because they usually have some very odd opinions on the correct way to roleplay, or it's very structured, like Japanese RPGs, where you have very dedicated times. You either have very dedicated times to roleplay, you have very dedicated times to interact with other players, or there's a very mechanical reason to interact. I can't force you to interact with your players. I cannot force you to do anything. All I can do is give you the rules to say, how do you engage in combat? How do you succeed at something? How do you actually roleplay? That's up to you. I can't do anything with that. So it's like, oh, I don't like the combat system. Being like, tell me why then. You're like, I want to adapt it to a fucking war game. Like, why? Why would you do that? Are you crazy? Yeah, that's Waifu Core kind of needing to get adapted. I need another one. And I was actually looking at, where was it? It's a VMG. Actually looking at VMG of all fucking places, being like, I wonder if there's any gacha games. There's a lot of gacha games, guys. I don't think people quite realize that, like, there's a shit ton of these gacha games, and it's like, oh boy, you want to play Dragalia Lost? What the fuck is Dragalia Lost? I don't know what it is. Here's Dragon Ball Legends. Cool. Oh, don't worry. You want to do Data Live? I mean, I remember Live a Live. That was a pretty good. Oh, don't forget about Another Eden. Like, what the god? What in the goddamn? Well, I tried to find. There's no good ones here. And I would do Arc Knights. Here's the thing. I would do Arc Knights, but I know there was one guy in the homebrew threads. I haven't seen him in a few months though, who was doing a Arc Knights game. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let him do his own thing. I'm not gonna do my own. Because I don't think people quite realize that. Like, I don't try to, like, step on other people's ideas. Like, if you're doing a game, I probably will backburner it. That's why Boring Darkness, as Varric called it, kind of got shelved because Varric was going to do it, even though he hasn't really done anything to it. But yeah, these were the 3 SRDs that kind of like there. D2000 needs to get a little bit of updating. That shouldn't be too difficult. Now, these are the big think ideas. This is kind of like the main focus of what we're going to be doing today, more than anything. Which we've been streaming for 25 fucking minutes and we've accomplished nothing. But ta-da! Welcome to It's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm tired of drinking beer. This is shitty beer too. Good beer though. Shitty good beer. Just the way I like it. People are arguing about dumb shit on the internet. Dumb shit on the internet are my favorite thing. But yeah, so generally speaking, the big think ideas are ideas that have never really gone anywhere beyond kind of like a basic like pitch. I need to yell at Dolphin. I need to yell at one of the people in my server being like, "You're Chinese. Give me the entire list of actual like things that you are required to do to publish a game up there. That's all I want. If you just give me everything I want, because I've been like I've been always wondering like how the fuck do I actually email like the actual, because here's the thing, like here's the thing. I can click on the China. This is the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the United States of America. This is what it is. I can email them right now. I can do it. Like, it would be, I don't even know where there is I did look. There is actually a contact thing that you can contact them. And what I would need to do is I would need to contact them and ask, where the fuck do I do? Like, what do I actually like do? What's the requirements? However, I don't know how to approach it properly without coming off as incredibly weird. So it's literally trying to like put it up there in like the correct angle. I thought about like bullshitting and lying about how here's a completely different individual who I'm working with, but I don't want me like, you're lying. We don't have records of this person. It's like, fuck. Fuck. Oh yeah, but yeah, some of them kind of just are just basic ideas. I get things like the dedicated SMT game. For those who don't know, this is Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei, you may know it better as Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei technically is Persona. Well, sort of. You can kind of sort of say that it's Persona, because Shin Megami Tensei came first. Technically, here's the big thing. The actual Megami Tensei series started as a goddamn, it's a book. That was the big idea. However, it kind of mostly grew because of, Digital Devil Story. And nobody really talks about that one, because mostly people talk about the main series. These were originally dungeon crawlers, and then it kind of evolved into things like Nocturne, and then Shin Megami Tensei, and then we have 4, and then we have Strange Journey. These never really took off as much in the West compared to the Persona series. That's kind of like the idea. Like, Persona took off way bigger here, and Persona is still like a mega fucking franchise compared to it. Like, by far. Like, Atlas likes it. Atlas likes Persona. There's a good reason. But there's also a lot of games that they've put out over the years that are pretty good, but they kind of get, I don't know what word this. They kind of get shat on. Operation Darkness, I've never heard of this. Fantasy game conception, World War II. Time period, but fantasy elements such as dragons and vampires. Yep, this is an Atlas game, alright. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. God bless them. Here's all these weird, all this weird shit. Oh, this is, it's a good game when it's 2 out of 10. Oh, it's good. Yeah, they're actually the ones who published the original Guilty Gear, didn't they? They didn't publish the newest Guilty Gear though. Yeah, no. But yeah, they published a lot of weird shit. Abyss Odyssey was really fucking good, by the way. But yeah, SMT, they're like, the weird thing to note about Shin Megami Tensei is I was type in this Japanese tabletop RPG. Always gotta do that little part. Because the odd thing is, this is a game that actually exists. Like, you can kind of see right here, like, way back in the day, Shin Megami Tensei actually got a full tabletop role-playing game. That is a thing that exists, and people know that it exists, but nobody has been able to actually find a good copy of it and translate it. because a lot of these are pretty old, relatively speaking, and they just never really got out of the of fucking Japan. Like, none of them have really ever made their way, but like you can clearly see, like, they're still making it, released in like 2007 and stuff, but like nobody's been able to actually like find it, mostly because of like right here, released in 1993. It's kind of this bizarre, I wouldn't say necessarily like it's lost media or whatever, no, but it's like it's just never going to show up here for a variety of reasons, unless there's probably some, I want you to remember, there's probably some fucking Russian dude who has this on a hard drive somewhere. I'm actually like 9 out of 10 likely that there's a Russian dude with this game on his hard drive. But will we see it? No idea. Probably not, because we can't have nice things, and it's just not very popular. So I kind of put that on there as like, we need to do this. However, we also have AI Driven Demonology. It's SMT, but Chinese quality. These might be merged together to kind of form its own thing. Obviously, we have Cruelty Squad, the Physical Sensation Edition, which was like just me writing something funny. The Psycho Psychics. People wonder why sometimes like I say Psycho Psychics. You can imagine. Not seeing anything. Maybe, who knows? It's kind of hard to tell with some of those older Japanese RPGs. But like, those might get merged together. I also have this, a radical game about skateboarding and stuff. It was entirely because someone was like, how do you make a Tony Hawk tabletop game? That was literally it. And fun fact, you fucking don't. And it's things like, here's the big thing, like, this is just, like, the theoretical, what we'll call it is, select everything, move you down here. Like, we'll call it like Tony Hawk's, pro skater board, pro skater tabletop, pro skater with dice. Just kind of this theoretical one, the Tony Hawk's existential nightmare. Like, one of the big things is you always have to determine what is happening. Why are you actually playing? Is there a threat? Is there a problem? Is there an issue? What's the big thing? Now, you can arguably, what you can do is do it like, it's just purely like, oh no, we have to skateboard to do, kind of trail off there. It's kind of like, oh no, we have to skateboard to kill demons, or we need to skateboard to save the day, or we're skateboarding superheroes, or something like that. Like, you need to have something there. You can do something literally like summon skate, which is like, okay, and then we have to ask, like, can players do quote other things, which is usually a hard thing when it comes to like sports games. It's the problem with that kind of boils down to like, can players do something that isn't related to like the main gimmick? You may say, well, that's counterproductive, then why would you have the main gimmick? But it's kind of the idea of like, if you don't have the do other things mechanic, that you don't have the what else can they do, you end up with a singular loop. That's it. It's like, oh, now we're skateboarding to save the day. And if there's nothing else behind it, there's nothing else to do. That's why you can usually see in like, okay. Let's see. Oh, got a little bit of a ding here. A guy in another server decided to publish a, mind you, another guy, a guy in a server, decided to publish a fucking game of the Ukraine 2022. It's literally the current Ukraine crisis, and he decided to publish a fucking war game because apparently having like 2 fucking brain cells is very hard to ask sometimes. And like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have fucking done this. Here, like, let me, let's see, like, you obviously expected this. If you didn't, then I am amazing. Then I am astounded. You are able to have the foresight to actually publish, to actually write a game. It's like, I'm being mean, but it's like, you clearly knew this was going to happen. Like, you clearly knew that publishing a like Ukraine 2022 war game may invite some like criticism. Like, that's one of the big issue. Like, you clearly knew this was like, it's like, oh, now I'm thinking about pulling the game, being like, you dumb motherfucker. You knew this was going to happen. You knew this. This is like, you clearly knew this was going to happen. I don't know why people was like, I never thought this was going to happen to me. People are going to get mad, being like, you dumbass. Of course people are going to get mad at you. Jesus, you fucking idiot. Like, I'm being mean, but it's like, dude, you knew this was going to happen. Like, don't be surprised when people are being mad. Being like, just roll with the punches then. Who fucking cares? But, getting back to my Tony Hawk game. Effectively, like, the problem here is, like, these 2 things right here are very limited, which you need them to make a game like this work. Like, and even then, just like, what are you doing actually? Like, what's the actual like thing with the game? Like, oh, are we skating for a reason? Like, even down to things like the original Tony Hawk games, it's like, oh, we're skating because we need to save the skate park, or it's like, it's American Wasteland and we need to do this or we need to do that. It's like, hello, Dirty, how are you? Yo, yeehaw, dude. It's... Yeah, exactly. Like, is that kind of like the extent of the game right now? And that's kind of like the issue with like the skateboarding game, because I don't genuinely know what else to do outside of being like, yeah, you're cool and radical for radical reasons. Unless you make it like the entire, I wouldn't necessarily call it like tongue-in-cheek, but kind of like, this is, you know, this is dumb Lamau. It's kind of like, have that idea of like, you're constantly looking, you know, looking at it, and it's like, really, like, this is a fucking Tony Hawk Pro Skater with dice game, and it's like, yeah, of course it is. It's deadly fucking serious. Like, yeah, it's deadly fucking serious, but that's kind of the amusing aspect of it. That's where it kind of gets a little bit complicated with that one. That kind of doubles down for like a few of these games, where it's just like, it's there, I would like to do something with it, but I don't know what. Called King of the Road. They travel around doing skate shit. Yeah, see, I could do like maybe like, because I know there's skateboard card game. Where is it? Is it Skate? Is it literally called Skate the card game? Yeah, this is Skate the card game. Because I saw this, which was actually pretty interesting. Because like the entire idea was that like you have like the front, then you have like the front of your board and you have the back of your board. And there are 2 separate cards you effectively have to play to perform tricks. And if they don't match up, you just biff it and fucking, you know, you get land face first. Which is kind of like the, like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I'm like, it's a trick-taking game at its core. And I'm like, this could be interesting. This could work. But it's like, how do you string that in a full game? How do you string that together to make it actually fun to play? Let's see. Commit. There you go. Ride the lightning. That's my suggestion. Like kickflip over homeless. Yeah, kickflip over the homeless. Like, it's things like that. Like trying to tie everything together would be a little bit more complicated. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. But actually entertaining, very different. Unless you do something like completely weird with it. Unless you do... See, the one weird thing what you could do is go down, again, like the summon skate route, where it's like, yeah, here's summon skate, but don't worry, you're actually trying to skateboard to do something else. It's like, you're trying to like, oh, well, I have to build up some cool combos or whatever, so I can like summon Satan or something. Like, yeah, it's Persona, but I have a skateboard, don't question it. Which I still need to go over Summon Skate. I have the copy, I have it, everything's there, I'm ready. It's gonna be a fucking weird one, because this entire thing is weird. But Summon Skate's the kind of thing you look at, you're like, I refuse to believe this exists, but you totally know it does, and it's like, Kino. Fucking Kino. Yeah, it's like, you can go in a few different directions with it, or you just make it like a one-page game, and like that being the entire concept. It's kind of weird if kind of it needs something. That's the big thing. Like, it needs something to tie it together that makes it more about literally just performing tricks on a skateboard. Because if you can do that, then I think it'll work. And I think it would really... Yeah, I think like when it works, I think it would be... If it were to work the way I see it, you would need a gimmick. I won't say a gimmick necessarily, but you would need something to tie everything together. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna kickflip to do something. Like, I gotta kickflip to build points to attack you or something with, kind of like that. Like, that there's clearly some stupid shit you can pull off. That would be the way to, like, escalate this to Kino quality. Yeah, also, the Fantasy Pirate RPG, I have the setting, I have the thing. It's going to be, technically what I should say is Fantasy Sky Pirates, because honestly, pirates are cool, but Sky Pirates are just kind of cooler. Like, they just escalate the coolness factor by about like a solid notch. A little overplayed, not gonna lie. Sky Piracy is a little overplayed, and it would really depend on the approach to it. But I like Sky Piracy. Yeah, I played Final Fantasy XII. How could you tell? Arabian Sand Sky Pirates. Arabian Sand Piracy could be interesting. That's an idea. So what I should say is the fantasy thing pirate RPG. It's like, yeah, it's Sky Piracy, it's Sand Piracy, it's, I don't know, Magic Piracy. Fuck off. Also, here's one which is amusingly difficult to do. The straight up magical girl game. No gimmicks, no anything. This has a very unique issue. Magical girl games, actually, like strict magical girl, tabletop role-playing games. There aren't actually that many. And if there are, they're usually in things like, oh my goodness, look everybody, it's Blades in the Dark. Or, hey everyone, it's Fate. It's Forged in the Dark. It's, Fate. It's usually like another system. Did this get an update finally? Tell me this got an update. Oh, did we get an update? Oh my god, we got an update. Big news, everybody. For those who don't know, this is Domino Magicka. I've been following this game for a while. It's by a girl named Emily Reinhardt. Emily Reinhardt has literally done nothing else, but this is the man who's interesting. This is Jim Mcclure. Jim, I think is the best way to summarize him is, and I do quote this in the nicest way possible, a fucking idiot. And he is a very silly man because he made a few different games of Reach of Titan, and Satanic Panic. You see these two? Satanic Panic never came out because he took the money and did wrestling classes with it. I'm not fucking with you either. This is deadly serious. He did wrestling classes. Then he went on to, like, when he was supposed to be working on this, he worked on the Roll20 game. Like, there was like a dedicated like Roll20 tabletop game he made for them instead of doing Satanic Panic. And the weird thing is Satanic Panic then got handed off to another company. And yeah. And that's where things get a little bit weird with it. Doesn't help that Reach of Titan is the same thing. The same thing happened. He left. Like, he literally left and, abandoned the project. Sorry we had to sue him for our money back. It's... Yeah, the money's gone. And I told people, like, this was, like, all of this is really hilarious because this... Like, there was clearly, like, an idea here, but I think he is kind of the person completely driven, not really by anything other than a cool idea. And when he realized he had to write it, he chose not to. So you kind of see some of the issues here. Yeah, Emily Reinhardt, you see that right there. Third Act Publishing. She did Domino Magicka. Domino Magicka came out originally in like 2020 or so. Yeah, 2018 is when this game was supposed to come out. And Domino Magicka has not come out yet, nor do I think it will ever come out. But we have character sheets now. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh no. Oh no. Those are fucking poser models. Oh. Kino. We're entering Kino territory. Yeah, Jim Mcclure and this entire Third Act Publishing is fascinating because it is just bad ideas all around. There's no good ideas. Yeah, like I did a stream on them actually during the Kickstarter stream actually, and he became the third horseman. I believe he was the third horseman of good ideas with poor executions, because all his ideas are pretty interesting. It's just that, like, they never materialize. So this kind of kind of wrapping everything, kind of tying everything back. Domino Magicka was supposed to be like a magical girl game, and there isn't actually that many magical girl games out there that's like, oh, it's the Chimera RPG, or like, wow, what's this? And it's like, oh wow, you definitely looked something. Playtest version of the game. Let's see. Well, young girl woken to latent magical powers. Yeah, no math. You won't be managing HP. Art. This book contains many magical girls. Dice pools that's quick, unique, and flavorful. Yeah, they always end up looking like a goddamn troglodyte. They never look anime very much until it's like, yep, and then you look in the artwork. Hello. Yeah, this is the playtest version. Have you ever released anything? No.
No.
Let's see. You got anything else here? No, nothing really here. Welcome to the dance. Yep. No, it's magical girl games are weird. Magical girls in general are weird. Oh, I actually know this person. This is Daisy Chainsaw, which is one of the mains. Like, I wanted to do something very traditional, not this, because I too liked Madoka. I do not want to play a Madoka game again. That's all I want. I don't want to play Madoka. I want to play a fun game. All I'm saying is that I want to be Moot, everybody. I want to play the little girl, and I want to be happy. That's all I want. I don't get that. But like, the issue with like a strict, like, I want to do magical girl game, like, is mostly tying to like the main like thematics behind it would literally be, how do you design a magical girl game from the ground up to be, how do I want to word this, not Madoka. Like, the theme is pretty much not the popular thing, because Madoka is incredibly popular, and because it was incredibly popular, it has kind of shaped everything else. Now everyone wants these dark and gritty magical girls. No, I don't want dark and gritty magical girls. I want some, fucking happy-go-lucky shit. That was like the thing with Glitter Break. That was kind of hard for it. Honestly, if I were to really do this, I might literally just make like a, literally a Glitter Break, the RPG more than anything. Just because that I deliberately went out of my way when writing that game. That skirmish game, to make it as cheesy and funny as possible, being like, yeah, you're literally the fucking Precure squad, have fun. But everyone hated it because it wasn't magical girl enough, and it's like, well, this isn't like my magical girls, and Mila's like, what the fuck do you want? It's a war game, it's a fucking skirmish game, don't forget that, you dumbasses. I'm like, oh no, it's not quite accurate enough. It's like, god damn it. So it's like, I don't know what people want. Like, the problem is, like, magical girl is so fucking broad and so massive that it's impossible to like really nail down without it, like, because there's no strict magical girl like this is what you have to be, but everyone thinks there is. It's ugh. It's literally just like forces of evil versus good guys. Forces of evil versus good guys. Wow, look everybody, Sparkle Force Power go. And it's like, that ain't working. People don't want that. And it's generally like, best way to word it is tying things together, like tying it all. And it's like, you can either go down, generally speaking, you can go down the Madoka route, because like it's dark and edgy, and it's like, oh wow, look, it's girls who are suffering. Or you can try to play it straight, but playing it straight is harder, is way harder, because I think people have stronger expectations of it, weirdly enough, rather than like, oh, it's just Madoka, but it's Madoka, but. So that's like one of the reasons, like, this one hasn't really seen that much development, simply because I have no idea where to start with it. Originally, I was going to do it based off a game called Crystar, where literally you are a bunch of suspiciously young girls, but you power all of your abilities by crying. That's the gimmick. You cry. You become an emotional fucking wreck, and you become super powered, and that's how it works. Welcome to anime, everybody. And like, part of me, there's like a distinct part of me that would want to make this game almost a Satan War Snakeskin hack to a degree, by just being the fact that you are trying to play a magical girl television show, trying to play it as straight as possible, while also being the idea that you are behind the screen. You're behind the scenes trying to manage it because nobody knows what the fuck they want. But then that kind of falls into this, like the theme is kind of breaks the theme a little bit, so it's like 100 Lotus Blades. Actually, fun fact about 100 Lotus Blades is it's right here. I've been meaning to like figure out what to do with it, but 100 Lotus Blades actually turned into Changsha. And because it turned into Changsha, I didn't really do anything else with it because there wasn't really... But yeah, like, the entire idea behind this, it would be like, I want to make something a little bit more ridiculous. I want to make something a little bit, it's a martial adventure game, rather than kind of the oddity that was Changsha. Because Changsha, for those who don't remember, this was a weird Western wuxia game, because they're technically the same thing, if you really look at it. Where it's like, I want to punch a bullet out of the air and I want to do some really silly things. You're literally gunslinging Xia because I thought that would be cool. It's literally all Changsha means is a gun hero. But like, this one would be like far more strict in a way. That's kind of the point. Originally, I was actually thinking about using the Notepad D20 system for it, but it kind of went back and forth. And mostly because it was based off of Icon, not Tom McDonald, Icon TRPG. It was mostly based off of, because I fucking hated Icon. I despise this game. I think it's really stupid. And it's, I find it really funny. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's so great. It's Fantasy and Lancer. It's literally Fantasy and Lancer, and to anyone who says otherwise, I genuinely do not know. Because this is solely Tom's thing, nothing else. And it's like, wow, Tom, please stop. Stop existing, please, I'm begging you. So it's like, I don't really know how to do that one. Because there's like this very fine line. Fun fact, there's this very fine line between cultivation fantasy bullshit and wuxia adventures. There's this very fine, very thin line that if you cross it, things get a little bit wonkier and power levels start escalating to the point of absurdity. I would want to keep it pretty firmly in the wuxia side of things, but there's a lot of wuxia games out there, so it's kind of been kind of delayed. And that kind of doubles down for things like the actually quite a few of these games. Things like a literal game about animals. I have no idea what animal to pick. Being honest with you all, I don't know what animal I would want to pick for this. There's a lot of different animals that can qualify for a good game about them, because it's not necessarily like, I want to be a furry game. Oh. Like, it's like if I could find like a good animal to really base it off of, and I was actually thinking there's one which is literally the Pachyderm RPG, otherwise known as you're gonna play fucking elephants, because elephants are incredibly social creatures, and it could actually work pretty easily. There was another one which is this particular animal type, what is that? Your Musalede. These various animals are part of a very specific section, and they're carnivorous. Most of them are carnivorous, and they're fucking mean. And I'm like, these could actually work, because they're usually bad, to be honest. That's usually the amusing thing. They're usually the evil ones in this one. But it's like, hey, we can technically do like a badger game or a weasel game, or like otters. You want to play otters, the role-playing game? Cool, we can do that. But like the problem with like animals is that you need like the animal RPG. Here's the thing with the animal RPG. Is like actually the big thing is very simply like the animal must be social, which is to say like you can't play the alligator RPG because alligators aren't social creatures. They aren't. They breed, they leave. You need to be able to actually possess a group unless you're going for like a solo RPG. So animals can't be, pretty much animals can't be the best. You pretty much can't play an animal that is like at the absolute top of the food chain, because at that point you lose some of the struggle and the opposition becomes a lot stranger. Actually, the opposition starts becoming a lot stranger, and you may like say like, well, you can play a game about lions, for example, and that could be interesting, but you still have struggles. Like there's struggles in there. There's some which is like it's hard to actually make that actually an entertaining game, and like the best thing to kind of word it is like animal must have a quote struggle to deal with. That's why it's like insects are kind of weird, because it's like, yeah, sorry, you're gonna play a fucking spider, and oh, sorry, you're dead, because spiders live very, very quick lives. So it's kind of like trying to get all of these things together is actually an incredibly difficult endeavor. That's why I was kind of leaning toward these guys, because there's actually quite a few of these. Most notably things like, oh, well, otters are very cute and they're very interesting because you can get a lot of different kinds of otters. I'm like, oh, cool. Or like badgers, because they are technically social creatures. They do work together. So that's a stoat killing a rabbit. I wanna hover over that. Like there are some clearly like some like ideas here. It's just like tying everything together. Yeah, if you're from stoats, like da 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 da, yeah, stoats are nasty little fuckers. Most of these things are nasty little fuckers. Like nobody, there's a reason fight like a badger is badgers are mean bastards. Like no, fuck that. I don't want to fuck with a badger. They scary. Badgers scary. Yeah, that's kind of the issue with like trying to find a good animal to do that kind of game with. You can say like, why don't you just do something like bunnies? Why don't you do something like, why don't you do an animal that's already been done? It's like, I don't really want to do an animal that's already been done because it's already been done. It's far more interesting to actually tie game together. That is something I haven't seen before, and I like looking at things I haven't seen before. And generally speaking, like it's one of those very strange genres that doesn't really exist. I even went over it, games where you play animals, and there weren't actually that many, or they were magic. That was also a big thing, magic. So it's kind of like, how do you make this work? Because the thing is, like, you could really use it to tell an interesting story. Not only tell an interesting story, you can also use it to tell a educational story, because that's always interesting. I like learning new things, and that could be actually very interesting. It kind of also doubles down to things like sports. Fun fact, there's actually quite a few, let's see, sports, tabletop RPG. There's actually a few sport RPGs. Tools of ignorance. Because like you end up with like Tools of Ignorance, which is a professional baseball game, effectively. I don't know why. That's kind of weird. that they have queers down here. Like, I'm looking at this game, not really any of this. But yeah, like, Tools of Ignorance is a game about baseball. Let's see, like, fantasy, like, let's see, where is it? Roller Girl versus, there's a few of them I've found over time. Like, let's actually see, top sports physical game. Sports anime RPG. Those are really popular inadvertently. I find that weird. I don't know why people are like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. Like, we need to do sports anime. Like, no. Why? Then there's extracurriculars folded into Bambi RPG, but it's adolescent tears duking it out. Yeah, that's a good idea. But like, there were like 3 games that came out right at the same time, and the weird thing was they all had the same idea. Like, it was extracurriculars, which, by the way, Riley Hopkins, don't trust Riley Hopkins. He's a fuck, generally, because he wrote that one. Oh, I got a comment. I got followed by Paradise Tea. Thank you, Paradise Tea. Welcome aboard. An unofficial playbook for Possum Creek's Wander Home. That's painful. But there was like 3 of these that came out at Interstitial, that's the game. There's like 3 of these fucking games that came out all at the same time. And it's like, oh, it's kind of weird. like, alright. Like, there's a few of these also, because like the sports I was thinking about, ironically enough, I didn't even see this. This is Kabaddi. Kabaddi is a very fascinating game. Actually, a very fascinating sport, which if you have never heard of Kabaddi before, you should totally watch a match of it, because Kabaddi is intense. And shit gets real in Kabaddi. I love watching the Kabaddi matches. It's effectively aggressive tag. And very interesting, very fascinating. Version 0.1. Pain. Let's see. Is there any other, like, here's a golf game. Here's a baseball game. The other options for the literal game about sports was to make a fantasy sport. Just make one entirely up. But that has its own advantages and disadvantages, so that's why, like, this one's never really gone anywhere. Because I've literally sat on it and said, I have no idea what to do with it. So yeah, it's because the thing is, like, I actually like sports. I think sports are really fascinating. The fuck? Burr. But yeah, like, there, like, if you, because the thing is, here's the 411. If you make your own, if I make my own sports game, I have to write out all the rules. I have to write out, pretty much, I have to write an entire sports rule book, and then put a role-playing game on top of that rule book, because that's what I would do. Don't think I wouldn't. I was there. I watched our college's professional, not really professional. Well, I watched our college's Quidditch team, which, if you've never watched a Quidditch match before, you have not seen what pure suffering looks like, and just pure cringe-inducing nightmares. In case you're like, Taha, Notepad, you're fucking with me. It's a Quidditch match. Quidditch isn't real. Quidditch is real. Here, you know what? I'll show. This is a bullshit stream, so why the fuck not? Let's show everybody. This is the literal actual Quidditch match. I'm not fucking with you either. Like, this is like a thing that you have to do. Like, the big thing is like you always have to hold on to like the one. We are our team. And I can say this, we were the UI, it was UI Griffins. That was it. We were the Griffins. We got our, like, where is it? Where? Oh yeah, there we go. We had the bike variant. And the thing is, like, I'm not fucking with you either. Like, I would watch these guys roll around on, like, ride their bikes around the field, throwing a fucking ball at one another to try to score points. It is the most intense shit I've ever seen. And it was like, Jesus. But yeah, no, the Quidditch guys, I don't fuck with the Quidditch guys. They were hilarious. I love them. Every single one of them. I thought they were great. It's like, I have to literally, effectively, you would effectively need to write an entire game, you know, pretty much write an entire sport and then put an RPG on top of it. Alternatively, I use a sport that already exists and then kind of curate the rules as needed. I was actually thinking about using things like rugby, because rugby actually does qualify for it pretty well, because rugby is a very fascinating sport of just hyper aggressive football. And I like rugby is fun to watch actually, because there's quite a bit of rugby. Yeah, here's the traditional, traditional setups. Because the thing is, like, there's actually quite a lot of actual, like, rules and, like, places to actually do. Like, there's a lot of rules behind it, and you can use rules. Rules are good. I don't think people quite understand that when it comes to things like these. But then there were, let's see, there was the other one that I was looking at that I thought was kind of interesting. Where are you? There is strict football, but football was like, I'm kind of mixed on football. There was one I was looking for that I was looking at, and I thought it was like, this seems hilarious, and I love it. Oh yeah, there was also slam. This is a fun sport, by the way. This is slam ball. The entire thing behind slam ball is that everything is on trampolines. That's the entire thing. You're on trampolines, and you're just able to jump really fucking high, and it's great. It's like, this is ridiculous. But where was one? You could technically go, if you really wanted to be really specific, there was beach tennis, fistball. Was fistball? What volley? Where are you? Like, I was looking at like a lot of these, and there's a lot of sports probably not a single fucking one of you people have heard about before, simply because they're incredibly small and they're just not really that popular. Hence why you don't hear about underwater hockey very much. You ever hear of underwater hockey? Yeah, it's right here. You can play it has its rules. You can play underwater hockey with your friends. Technically, the men's fourth last elite championship. New Zealand coming out on top. Men's was that? US, we're sixth place, unfortunately, 0 out of 10. The Turks are number 3 Underwater Sports Federation. The British Octopush Association. Like, some of these are actually like fairly detailed, and I actually quite enjoy it. Like, I enjoy looking at like some of these things because you can get some actually very interesting how do I want to word this? You can get some very interesting games and very interesting things that you may not normally think about. Where was it? Broomball. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Polo cross. Oh god, I knew a lacrosse player. He was a dick. I always have like this intense like dislike of lacrosse players, because I was a roommate with one. He was a dick. It wasn't because he was a lacrosse player, mind you. It was just because he wasn't a very nice person. Yeah, there's quite a few different like sports to base it off of. That's why I'm like, maybe making a sport isn't like the best idea in the world. But I can't really say anything. I already wrote the Keijo RPG, and the Keijo RPG is already a nightmarish entity that is hilariously terrible and great, because I wrote it. It's great. I'm actually surprised there is. Oh no, there's Blazeball, which I never got. Blazeball, never got it. Don't understand why people are like, oh my god, it's Blazeball, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Don't get it. Never got it. I know some people were like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Don't get it. Oh god, people are. We're Thomas the Train Engine posting now. Okay, everybody, this is important. I must shit post. You don't understand. This is essential. This is essential posting. This is what I do on stream. These other VTubers might tell you all about their lives. Nah. Me? I'm going to talk about horse shit and post Thomas the Tank Engine games and Thomas the Tank Engine different place. Let's see. What was the other one that I saw? Oh yeah, Oni-chan-bara. Fun fact: Oni-chan-bara is a grindhouse bullshit stupid game that should not exist, but it's hilarious at the same time. And it's because it is deadly serious, but also completely nonsensically hilarious. It knows exactly what it is. This is the equivalent of a grindhouse movie, and it relishes the fact that it is a grindhouse. It is a grindhouse movie anime, and you kill zombies. You are half naked. Do not question it. Just embrace the chaos. And someone suggested, I believe it was Wuso actually, who suggested I make an Oni-chan-bara game. And it's really there. I would probably do it to play around with the style combat system a little bit. Nothing really much up. Oh yeah, this was the one I wanted to work on a little. Gotta get a good eye. Gotta get a basic concept in mind. Because there's this very odd, lofty goal. What I like to call, quote, the comfy RPG. This is a almost impossible goal, and anytime it has been attempted, it usually fails dramatically, simply because it is just kind of a non-entity. The comfy RPG can roughly be summarized as, I want to play Harvest Moon. I want to play a Harvest Moon TTRPG. I want to play a Stardew Valley TTRPG. I want to play this. I want to play Animal Crossing TTRPG. This is what people want. Like when they say like I want to play a fucking a comfy game, and then they immediately like suggest that they want to play like something like Animal Crossing, or they want to do something like that. And mind you, this was a big fucking market, by the way. These really comfy games are pretty good. Now, the most immediate one that comes to mind is Golden Sky Stories, because Golden Sky Stories is amazing and it's really fucking good. And anyone who ever tells you otherwise is lying to you. There I am. I literally am right here. I am literally cited. You can find me if you Google Golden Sky Stories, because I'm one of the few people who actually talk about in this game and how fucking great it is. Not a huge fan of fairy skies, though. Kind of weird, not gonna lie. But the big thing here is that it is aggressively comfortable, but it is also incredibly strange, because it is a diceless game, and you kind of gotta play it the way, it's very Japanese. You kind of gotta play it the way that it wants you to play it. You cannot play this game in any other fashion. And if you try to play this game in any other way, you're gonna get swacked. The game is gonna hurt you, because it damn well knows it doesn't want to do that. It does not want you to play it in any other fashion. And that's kind of one of the issues behind it. That's like the one issue that I will always cite with Golden Sky Stories, is like, if you don't want to play Golden Sky Stories the way Golden Sky Stories wants you to play, it's not going to really work. But that's a lot of reused games. Now, what people usually want for like a comfy game, like, see, the best thing is like I don't even really need to cite this anymore. Let's see, Catastrophe RPG. This gets cited every now and again. This is Catastrophe. Wow, everybody, it's the cutest, coolest game ever. Everyone is cats, and look how comfy it is. Oh my god, it's so comfy and great. But usually the problem what occurs here is that nobody ever wants to fucking do anything with Catastrophe. And Catastrophe Beta, Cardboard Castle, yeah. Google Docs link. There. Oh no, that's a bad start. But yeah, like Catastrophe is what usually people cite, but like, I want a comfy game. And what people mean by this is they want the comfy vibe. They want the kind of very low stakes adventures, and they want something very, I don't know what that is, I'm not clicking on it. They want the low stakes adventures, they want the low stakes kind of, not really investment necessarily, but kind of like, things are fine. Not bad, things are fine. Everything is, everyone's kind of vibing, everything is cool. You don't really have like, it's the end of the world, or it's like, it's the apocalypse. No, it's, hey, this is fine. Things are okay, but not really bad necessarily, but not necessarily good. There are things to do and there's problems to have, but we always have to kind of work with it. But yeah, a powered by the apocalypse TTRPG. Oh no. Oh dearie me. Is this some sort of furry thing? Oh wow. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh goodness gracious. Let's see. Oh wow. Mirrors like 2 moves each. Oh goodness. Yeah, again, Catastrophe, as I said, Catastrophe is a ideal. And what I would want to do for the comfy game, the comfy RPG, the big thing is you need, like, there needs to be threat. Now, threat can come in a lot of different forms, and threat is something that you definitely need to always have in any story. And I don't think people quite realize that sometimes. Even if it's something like not really that terribly threatening, but it still is. There's even things like Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing has a threat. You want to know what it is? It's Tom Nook wanting to break your kneecaps. Because you took out a loan from him and you gotta pay him back. Tom Nook is not going to break your kneecaps. At no part is, like, if you don't pay Tom Nook back, is Tom Nook ever going to, like, find you and kill you. There's no, like, overriding threat in that regard. That's not the point. But if you want to advance the game, if you want to continue doing what you're doing, you gotta pay back your loan. When you pay back your loan, he says, well, for a small loan, I can get you something new. And that's kind of where the threat comes in. You have a debt. You need to pay off the debt to continue being comfortable. But to increase your comfortability, increase your comfort. That's the entire idea. Similar things go for things like Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, which is you are going to not do very well if you choose not to engage with the systems. If you simply choose to not farm, the game isn't going to be like, well, you've failed and everyone hates you. No, it's like you just aren't really going to get anything. That's what the idea of the threat is. You need to have a threat. Something needs to not necessarily have like a failure state, but kind of like there needs to be something being like, you're doing something for a reason. I think that's one of the major issues behind it, is that you can have something that isn't necessarily a threat per se, something that isn't necessarily a like they're gonna kill me if I don't do a thing, or they're going to hurt me if I don't do a thing. Not necessarily that. You can, like, Golden Sky Stories, for example, I'm using that as an example, quite literally has no combat. There's no really threat of you getting hurt in any meaningful way, but the threat is still present. You want to know how they do the threat? They do the threat by making it so that there's something that you want to do. You want to help little Takeshi, build up the confidence so he can win the martial arts tournament. That's what you want to do because you're invested in Takeshi. You like Takeshi. The threat is Takeshi doesn't do very well. But, like, at the end of the day, there isn't really any, like, oh no, he didn't do very well in the martial arts tournament. It's not like, oh, we failed. It's more like, well, shame, Takeshi. But hey, we had a lot of fun. This was fun. We learned a lot about each other, and I hope we can play again another time. Very low stakes. Very low stakes. I think that's hard. That's really hard to pull off. And mostly just because, again, that was like... And I think getting those really low stakes is what makes things a little bit more complicated to do. Because even things like, there are people who just don't like Golden Sky Stories simply because there aren't really stakes per se. And that's completely reasonable. And I'd be the first one to say, like, yeah, that is completely a reasonable thing for you to be like, I don't like Golden Sky Stories because there are no stakes. Things aren't really that high or that intense, which some people like low intense stuff. And that's kind of like, I think, the appeal of some of those games. I think the appeal really lies on the fact that there isn't this, like, end of the world scenario. It's, you want to farm better? But usually, like, the idea that I was using with, which was kind of like a funny, which was the entire idea that the concept is that you are part of a raiding culture. It's 2 a.m. Cut me some slack here. So kind of like one of the big ideas was that in Project Noya, which Noya in Korean is thrall, it's slave effectively. And like one of the ideas was that you are part of this raiding culture and you have to manage, it's literally slave management simulator, with the idea that it's not really that high of stakes, because that's kind of the joke of the that's kind of the joke of the matter. Is like, it's this insanely like uncomfortable thing, but it's like everyone else is like, ah, this is completely normal. That was kind of the funny. Like, it was like, this is like, clearly this isn't okay, but this is also kind of the point. Like, you're not supposed to be okay with it. But I might actually change this, honestly, because the perfect comfy RPG is something that is lofty and almost impossible to find. So it's always kind of going back and forth on that. Let's see. Probably ending here soon just because I'm tired. The Dominions RPG. Dominions is actually a fun series. I actually really enjoy playing Dominions. I don't get to play Dominions often. Because Dominions doesn't give a fuck about whatever you think. I played Dominions 5? Yeah, I played Dominions 5. This is the version that I play. And I think Dominions 5 is cool. I played Bandar Log almost, and I won with Bandar Log somehow. Being honest, I don't know how I did it. Like, huh. Huh, you learn something new, but yeah, never actually have Dominion. Dominion's in my list of stuff to do because it's actually it's a little cool little game. I actually quite like Dominions. I don't think people talk about it very much, and I would like to introduce more people to it. A lot of old school gaming. Yeah, old school. Clockwork. Oh jeez. Dominion Tank Police. You can't keep getting away with this. Yeah, like Dominion's Faith. Like, Dominion, like the strict Dominions RPG, the thing with Dominions RPG, here's the secret, is that it would need to be a massive fucking scale. Because in Dominions, you are playing a god. You are playing a god of a people, and you are trying desperately to pretty much claim ultimate godhood in a way. You know, super ultimate godhood, and doing so is complicated at best. Almost impossible at worst, because you need to pretty much overcome your enemies and the other rival gods, all trying to kind of assert themselves in that, you know, claim the thrones of Ascension, all that. If I were to make a strict Dominions role-playing game, you couldn't just make it a Dominions role-playing game. That's the secret. I don't think just converting it 1-to-1 would be very good, simply because there's a lot to it. But the other option, this is the gamer option, is Dominions 5 wiki, the L wiki. The big thing is, and this is a very fascinating part, is where are you? These are the nations. There are many nations. Each of them are very unique. Each of them do very unique things for very unique reasons. So, for example, if you play Bandar Log, for example, where's Bandar Log? Bandar Log isn't in. You're in the. Yeah, Bandar Log, Land of the Apes. Like, Bandar Log is literally are monkey men who do their bed, you know, and the idea is that in the early age they weren't Bandar Log, they were led by a different people, you know, Calista, the Rise of the Ape Kings, and they were led by half giant human like nature beings who are literally demigods almost. But then you become Bandar Log in the Middle Ages, and I believe, yeah, over time, and then in the late ages, you effectively get taken over. They get taken over by the Nagas. Hmm. And there are actually some very, how do I want to word this? Fascinating kind of races and ideas in Dominions, with the problem being that there's just a lot of them, and kind of tying everything together would be almost impossible. Almost. If you were to do this, it would be a very detailed and very, very long game. So the other option is to simply just make a completely different game, just call it kind of Dominions inspired, you could say. There's a few ideas I have for that. Effectively, God-killing swords you could do that with, but God-killing swords kind of became its own thing, which I could just adapt it to do something else. So, let's see. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to call it there for today. So thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad, and this was me literally just kind of talking about stuff. Getting everything into position. Actually, you know what? I should actually talk about this one. Now, Headspace was a cool idea that nobody else liked because here's the thing, I don't like Amori very much. I think the plot of Amori is kind of not very good, but I really liked the emotional mechanics behind it, the emotional combat system. Actually, so what I should do is Headspace. And literally, like, the entire thing, what I would want to do is you have this combat system of, it was, if I remember correctly, it was anger, happy, actually I should say joy more than anything. It would be sadness, is happy, anger, sad, and yeah, these are the only, yeah, happy, angry, and sad. Those are the only three, but I would probably put in another one there because I like fours. Like, the entire idea behind the combat system in Amori is that, if I remember correctly, is happy beat sad, sad beat anger, anger beat happy. Because each of these gave you slightly different bonuses and penalties to your stats, which was the big idea. That's literally all I'd want to adapt. And I think it would be pretty cool. So yeah, I know how I would do it. You don't understand. Headspace, actually, you want to know what the curse thing is? Headspace came into being about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, when me and my mom were eating at Joe's Crab Shack. I wrote down the idea behind Headspace just in a notebook. Yeah, and I was thinking about it as I was eating Joe's Crab Shack, and I'm like, it makes sense. Everything adds up. So yeah, this would literally be what it is. It would be effectively the unofficial Amori RPG, because I don't like Amori very much. Because personally, and I have literally an entire video of me shit talking Amori and its stupid plot. But TLDR, being sad doesn't constitute a fucking plot, and the plot doesn't make any goddamn sense if you really think about it, because no human being would act that way. But yeah, like, I have the idea. Here's the thing, like, I have the concept here, because very, very simply, put it very bluntly, all it really boils down to is kind of the, you know, if we're applying the basic rock paper scissors idea, but it would be like, you get a +1, you know, +1 X here, you know, +1 Y, but a +1 Z, as you kind of try to have to mix and match how much of each you have, with the idea being that X dice beat Y dice, Y dice beat Z dice, Z dice beat X dice. The concept is there. It's just putting it all together, which would be a little bit wonky. And I would need to, what I would need to do is go back to the original. I would need to go into Amori and learn the numbers to make it work. But yeah, that's kind of the basic kind of concept behind it. Like, really, it boils down to like me wanting to do something very specific, and there's a few other like ideas that like I don't really know where to put. Like, call it rambling ideas. Like some of the rambling ideas were like Avatar Legends, 3, actually combat system. Like, if I liked anything about Avatar Legends, it was literally the combat system, because it was actually fairly unique and actually kind of interesting, with the idea that you can attack, defend, and observe, with all three of those kind of being revealed at the same time. I think it was completely mishandled, but it was like, this is a cool idea. I would like to use this more. Where was the other one that I... Just kind of a weird mechanic that I'm like... I would actually like to play around a little bit more with more, I would like to play around with more, like, solo war games. If you notice, I didn't talk about any war games, because, like, war game ideas are kind of few and far between. At least a Badlands Rumble will never be selected by anything, so I've just kind of regaled it to there. The Caveman War game was actually a solo war game. Because solo wargaming is a thing, by the way. Like, solitaire wargaming is actually like a thing. And I thought that was very interesting. And I was like, I want to experiment a little bit more with these. And I'd be curious to see, can you make a solo war game? Which actually I should say is, you know, just like, can you make a solo war game? And I'd be very interested in seeing that. We also have Nosgoth. Nosgoth, this is going to be a controversial opinion, but I fucking loved Nosgoth. Me and my friends had a ball playing Nosgoth. It was, yeah, it wasn't like accurate to the lore or whatever, but who fucking cares? We were having fun. And it was ridiculous, it was silly, it was really stupid. It was a dumb game. And because it was dumb, we enjoyed it a lot more, and we had our, like, we did well, sometimes we did poorly, but it was like, yeah, we had fun. We had fun playing Nosgoth. And I liked the asymmetry of it. I liked the fact that playing a human was, you had such a disadvantage, but if you really played well, you could actually do very well against the vampires. It was just trying to do that. And I kind of, me and my friends have a kind of a perpetual joke, being anytime Nosgoth gets brought up, we're like, ah, damn it, Nosgoth's fucking dead. Yeah, Nosgoth was a cool idea. I don't think it was, at one part of me says that it shouldn't have been called Nosgoth, and another half of me says like it kind of had to be Nosgoth in its own way. But yeah, I like that. I think making a skirmish game of it could be interesting. I have a cyberpunk war game / skirmish game, which there aren't actually that many of them. Fun fact. The only one that really like is big one is Infinity, but Infinity kind of does its own thing. So I kind of have an idea. Angel 69 is technically that. Angel 69 needs me to actually like do my fucking job and finish it up. But like, what I've been thinking about doing is going down different, how do I want to word this? Going down different avenues of war game, skirmish game design, instead of like just very strictly like, this is a traditional skirmish game or this is a traditional war game. Kind of like, let's see if I can do something a little bit weirder or a little bit stranger. Just to see what can occur. That's why I liked, again, the Caveman War game was literally, hey, I want to see if I can make a solo RPG. I want to make a solo war game about you controlling a batch of cavemen trying desperately to fight a fucking animal who is running completely by an AI, but can really easily kill you. You only have numbers, so it's kind of like you as the player are looking at things on this, you know, on this sheet, on this table, and you're looking at things, and it's like, okay, Unga Bunga over here is injured, so he needs to pull back, but the lion clearly wants to kill him, so I need to run like defense on this, and he needs to go here, but because I know the lion is going to go after him next turn, maybe I can use him as bait and put him in a more like kind of a more like semi-exposed position, but going to be better next time. That's what I would want to do. That's kind of the idea behind that, because I think that would be interesting. Same kind of goes for Trenchfoot, which was entirely equal how do I want, not really, how do I want to say this? Trenchfoot was entirely equal exchange. It would be one soldier equals one soldier. So, and it's more about information gathering. And this was 2-player. Yeah, also our fixed projects. I haven't really done any of these because I haven't really had time or wanted to. But like riffs will never get done. Riffs is a pipe dream, but I will do it eventually. One day, riffs. One day. When D2000 is really working, then you will meet your mate. Like, Social Justice Warrior Turtles is kind of in the same thing. Kind of break down the ideas, but it would literally be, I would want to make a kids game out of it. And after we go over the kids games RPGs, then I will kind of consider it a little bit more deeply. But until then, like, it's kind of a vague ideas and maybes. Yeah, and Black Shirts and Red Guards, this is a perpetual like meme game that I will literally do anytime I truly just want to loot this, finally kill myself, or just running a paramilitary organization, because I find that funny. Then a few just note expansions of like, hey, here's some more things about Engine Heart, of like, hey, you're a war bot, but you don't have any guns or anything. Like, you're just kind of dumb. Like, you're not really a functional war bot. Or canceling the apocalypse, DPPTAing things. I've been debating on how to do that. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought. But yeah, I'll call it there for today. So thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad, and if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to tell me I'm an asshole or something, ping me in my server. Yeah, you know how it goes. Let's see, is everything good? Yep, everything is fine. Everything is, as they say in the hood, augers. iPhone. But let's see. Before we end it, let's see who visited the site. Thank you for whoever visited from Anaheim, California. You welcome aboard. So. Thank you. Goodbye. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I will see you on Monday, most likely, for more Pojedenia Kobieta through Naxakenche. And yeah, Godspeed.